I still remember that morning like it just happened yesterday. The sun wasn't even fully up yet. I stepped outside, toothbrush still hanging out of my mouth, and turned on the garden faucet like I always do, but nothing came out. I figured maybe the pipe froze or something. So I tried the spigot by the barn. Then the hose near the chicken coop, still nothing. My livestock trough was bone dry, and my dog Tucker just stood there, looking at his empty water bowl like, you see this too, right? So I walked the dirt path to the back, where my well sits, a private well, legally drilled and registered since the 90s. And that's when I saw it. A heavy-duty industrial chain wrapped around the valve, padlocked shut, and nailed to my fence was a smug little notice. Private wells prohibited. HOA compliance required. No letterhead. No proper signature. Just a sad-looking logo that looked like it came straight off a Word doc template. I stood there barefoot, toothbrush still in hand, blinking like I just woke up in someone else's life. And right then, I knew. It was Karen. Karen, the self-appointed neighborhood tyrant who once tried to fine me for having beige curtains because they didn't match the approved palette. And now she'd taken it a step further. She shut off my water on my land to prove a point. But here's the thing. You don't mess with a man's water and expect him to roll over. That's not how I was raised. You come for my well. You better be ready for the storm underneath. So I didn't go to work that day. Didn't make coffee. Just sat on my porch with a legal pad and a fire building in my gut. If Karen wanted a war over water, I was going to take her to the bottom of the aquifer and back. My first call was to the sheriff's office. They kind of shrugged, said since the well was near a shared boundary, HOA might technically claim jurisdiction. Translation? Red tape. They suggested I take it to civil court, but warned it could take months. Karen knew that. She counted on bureaucracy to keep folks like me stuck in the mud while she strutted around like queen of the cul-de-sac. But I had no intention of going the slow route. I didn't need the court. I needed leverage. That's where Wes came in. Old friend of mine, also happens to be a water rights attorney. Owed me a favor after I rescued his golden retriever during a flash flood last year. Wes is the kind of guy who reads zoning codes like bedtime stories. I gave him the rundown. He laughed once and said, "Let's see who actually owns the dirt under their feet." While he went digging through mineral rights archives, I paid a little visit to the HOA clubhouse. Not to start trouble, just to observe. I parked a block away and watched Karen giving a tour to some new residents, bragging about fair water distribution. Meanwhile, my goats were thirsty and my hose was still dry. That afternoon, I cobbled together a temporary water system, a few rain barrels, some emergency jugs from the shed, a makeshift filter I built out of desperation. It was enough to get Tucker and the animals through the night. But I knew I couldn't live like this long. Then came Wes's call. "You might want to sit down," he said. Turns out, the HOA never secured mineral rights to the aquifer beneath the neighborhood. They've been drawing water from Aquifer 29B under a decades-old permit issued to a ranch that dissolved years ago. "So who owns it now?" I asked. "No one. Not yet," he said. "But if you can find the inheritor and strike a deal, you'd control every drop of water going into that neighborhood, including Karen's." I didn't waste a second. Found the family that used to own Clearwater Ranch. Old-school ranchers didn't realize they still held water rights under land they sold years back. After a few conversations and a lease-to-own deal, I secured full legal rights to Aquifer 29B. I didn't even need the surface land, just what ran under it. And just like that, I became the landlord of Karen's water. 2 days later, at exactly 3 a.m., I drove out to the maintenance road where the HOA's pump station sits. I didn't tamper with a thing. I simply posted legal notices, survey flags, and a copy of the aquifer lease on the fence. Then I mailed a copy to the county zoning board, the sheriff, and of course, Karen, with a note that said, "You took my water. Now I hold yours." Next morning, her fountain, bone dry. And me? I was just getting started. Karen didn't say anything at first. I think she assumed I was bluffing. But by the second day, things started breaking down literally. Clubhouse water pressure dropped. The fancy sprinklers she bragged about at HOA meetings, sputtering like a busted lawnmower. Residents started noticing. I leaned on my fence, trimming a bush that didn't need trimming, and watched her kingdom wilt under the morning sun. One guy even walked by and said, "Something wrong with the water?" I just sipped from my glass and shrugged. Meanwhile, Wes finalized the paperwork. Mineral rights? Fully transferred. Permits? Notarized. And I buried a second access valve beneath a decorative boulder in my yard. Ran a solar pump to it just for fun. My lawn stayed green while hers turned to dust. Then came the showdown. Karen stormed up my driveway one morning like she was marching into court. "Do you think this is some kind of joke?" she snapped. I raised my glass. "Not really, but I do think it's poetic." "You're breaking the law." "Actually," I said, handing her a laminated copy of the Aquifer lease. "This is the law. Yours expired. Mine's enforceable. Also, your cousin Gina notarized it for me." Lovely woman. She tried to grab the paper, but I pulled it back. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "I already regret living near you," I said, walking away. She tried everything after that. Sent out flyers accusing me of sabotage. Filed complaints with the county, all tossed out. One inspector came out and told me straight up, "Sounds like a vendetta." Residents started catching on. First it was Mr. Langley asking if I'd sell him water access. Then someone dropped off a pie with a note that said, "Heard what you did. Respect." But the cherry on top? Karen's private pool, a kidney-shaped monstrosity hidden behind privacy hedges, turned out to be illegally tapped into the HOA's shared line. A maintenance worker caught it draining at 2 a.m. and filmed the whole thing. That footage spread through the community group chat like wildfire. She denied it, blamed me, even said I hacked the system. But the board had had enough. They voted 9-0 to remove her from her role. She tried to storm out with some final threat, but no one even looked up. And just like that, the self-declared queen was dethroned. But she wasn't done. Oh no. A few days later, a crew showed up digging near my fence. Claimed they were hired to install a drainage pipe. No paperwork. No permits. Turns out, just before Karen was ousted, she signed a fake work order trying to drill a new line across my property. I could have pressed charges. I didn't. I wanted her to sit with it, to feel what it's like when nobody believes you anymore. A week later, her house went up for sale. Quietly. No goodbyes. Just gone. The neighborhood changed after that. People talked again. Kids played without getting cited for noise. Someone hung a hand-painted sign in front of the fountain. Let it flow. At the next HOA meeting, I proposed a reform, ban future interference with private wells and utilities. It passed unanimously. Some even asked me to join the board. I declined. Told them I preferred goats to politics. But I did suggest one last thing. Renaming the main community walkway from Clearwater Path to Wellspring Lane. A quiet reminder that real power doesn't shout. It flows, deep, steady, and silent, right under your feet. So let me ask you this. If your community had a Karen, how would you fight back? Would you go loud or go legal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story made you laugh, cheer, or just breathe a little easier, hit that like button and subscribe for more true stories that prove, sometimes, the quietest people pull the biggest levers.